Oh, this is gonna be so freaking hard. Welcome back to the Spectral Frame. Today, we're getting into something a little bit different. March Madness is in full swing for sports lovers, but not for people like me who got the kicked out of them in gym class. For us film lovers, famed indie studio A24 has released their own bracket full of their own films, so we're gonna look at all the matchups and I'm gonna fill out mine. Now, I may have some hot takes and things might get a little contentious, so keep it cool in the comments, but if you do disagree with anything I say, feel free to just mail me a I shouldn't say shit like that. I'm just kidding. Save your terrorism for a worthy cause. The bracket is subdivided into 4 different categories. We have deep horror, emotional drama, high anxiety, and big feelings. In the deep horror category, we have Talk to Me versus The Witch, then The Lighthouse versus Heretic, then Midsummer versus Lamb, and finally Hereditary versus Pearl. Oh boy. Across the board, we have emotional drama, so we have First Reformed versus The Brutalist, then The Whale versus The Iron Claw, After Sun versus Moonlight, and finally The Lobster versus Sing Sing. Next, heading diagonal, we have High Anxiety, so the matchups are Red Rocket versus Climax, Uncut Gems versus Baby Girl, Civil War versus Ex Machina, and then Good Time versus Spring Breakers. That's also going to be a tough one. This is all going to be a tough one. God damn it. And finally, in the other corner, we have big feelings. So Lady Bird versus Mid-90s, The Florida Project versus Everything Everywhere All at Once, 8th Grade versus 20th Century Women, and finally, I Saw the TV Glow versus Past Lives. Fuck you, A24. This isn't fair. We're going to start with deep horror. In Talk to Me versus The Witch, I really freaking love Talk to Me. I cannot wait to see what those directors do next. I think the movie is great, but I don't know, man. The Witch is a classic. I'm a huge Robert Eggers fan, and this movie was kind of a paradigm shift for me and how I kind of saw elevated horror and horror in general, I think. So I'm going to have to give it to The Witch here. For The Lighthouse versus Heretic, if you've watched my channel for any length of time, my first video on this channel was about Heretic and how much it fucking disappointed me. So I have to go with The Lighthouse. I saw that movie and it blew my mind. Robert Pattinson is so good. Willem Dafoe is so good. It's another Robert Eggers jam. I'm a huge fan, as you know, so it's gotta be The Lighthouse for me. The next matchup we have is Midsummer versus Lamb. I like Lamb well enough, but Midsummer did something to me on a cellular level. It made me really love Ari Aster, and I have to give it to Midsummer here. Following that up with Hereditary versus Pearl, I think Pearl's such a great movie and such a weird movie and really singular in its vision, but Hereditary, oh man, I have a complicated history with Hereditary, I think. When I first saw Hereditary, I bought into the hype so freaking much and nothing could come close to it. So when I saw it in the theater the first time, I was like not feeling super good about it. But then a couple years later, I rewatched it in my house and I cried, like uncontrollably cried watching Hereditary the second time. It broke me so hard and I will never recover from it. I don't think so. This matchup has to go to Hereditary. It's definitely a tough one though. Now hopping over to emotional drama, we have First Reformed versus The Brutalist, and right off the bat, I have to give this to First Reformed. This is another movie that kind of broke me. I think Paul Schrader is at his best here, and Ethan Hawke turned in probably my favorite performance of his career. I think it was probably my favorite movie of that year, but I don't think I want to watch it again, ever. It made me feel terrible. Like this broke me in another way that I haven't really come to terms with yet, and I just don't think I can emotionally revisit, so it's got to go to First Reformed. Next, we have The Whale versus The Iron Claw, and I think The Whale was really good. I think it's nice to see Brendan Fraser back. He got an award. I think it was nice, but The Iron Claw was so good. Everybody's great in this movie. It's such a tragedy, and I don't feel like enough people are talking about The Iron Claw. It's a movie that feels like it came and went, but it definitely left an impression on me, so I think I have to go with The Iron Claw here. Next, we have After Sun versus Moonlight. After Sun, I don't want to talk about it. It's so sad. And Moonlight, I also really loved. Another of my favorite movies of that year. I have to give it to Moonlight here. Last in this group is The Lobster versus Sing Sing. Unfortunately, I did not get a chance to see Sing Sing yet, so I can't really judge it that well against The Lobster, but I will say I love The Lobster. I'm a huge Yorgos Lanthimos fan, and this movie was, I think, the first of his that I ever saw, and I've never seen anything like it. It really introduced me to his work, and I show that movie to anybody who I can get to watch it. I freaking love it, so I have to give it to The Lobster. Heading over to High Anxiety, our first matchup is Red Rocket versus Climax. Red Rocket is such a great movie, but I don't think it compares at all to Climax. I don't think this is a great matchup, really, necessarily. Climax was such a great movie, and I also talk about this a lot. I really want to revisit this movie, and while I love both of them, I think we got to go with Gaspar Noé's Climax. P.S. If you're one of those people that I told to watch Climax, I know you haven't watched it, so I'm going to make all of you fuckers come over to my house. We're going to sit down and we're going to watch it together and just have a bad time. Our next matchup is Uncut Gems versus Baby Girl, and I love Uncut Gems. I'm sorry. We're just going to get into it. I love that movie. I like the Safdie brothers quite a lot. This movie made my tics real bad. It made me feel sick, and Adam Sandler was fantastic in it. I have to go with this movie. I feel like a lot of people don't like it, or they liked it but don't have good feelings about it because of how it made them feel. I understand it, but also, it's so good.
Uncut Gems.
Right.
Next, we have an Alex Garland matchup. We have Civil War versus Ex Machina, and I love Civil War. It was one of my favorite movies of this past year. You guys have heard me talk about it in another video, but Ex Machina is a modern sci-fi masterpiece. I love this movie. The performances are fantastic. The direction and the writing are so good. They're top notch. I hope people continue to talk about this movie forever because it deserves it. So my choice is Ex Machina. The last matchup in our high anxiety category is Good Time versus Spring Breakers. Spring Breakers is such a wild film, and I've only seen it once, but I really freaking loved it. Everybody was so great and weird in it and awful in a fun way, but Good Time, it made me feel so many things other than anxiety, but so much compassion and weirdness and love. And Robert Pattinson really showed me that he has what it takes in this performance. It kind of made me a fan of him through this. So I don't know. I can't get that movie out of my head. I have to go with Good Time. Getting into our last category, Big Feelings, our first matchup is Lady Bird versus Mid-90s. I think Jonah Hill captured something really special with Mid-90s. The performances are really cool, and there's a really great soundtrack from Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. But Lady Bird is a movie that really stuck with me. It feels so personal, and I really attached to the characters. Greta Gerwig really got to show off her directing prowess. I think Saoirse Ronan turns in an insane performance that put her on the map for me. Laurie Metcalf, her performance here was the biggest Oscar snub. I was so mad when she did not get nominated for this performance. It stands out in such a massive way here. So Lady Bird definitely has it. Our next matchup is The Florida Project versus Everything Everywhere All at Once. I really love The Florida Project. Willem Dafoe is as good as ever, but Sean Baker finally got a little bit of a budget for this movie, and it shows. Visually, it's incredible, but what shines about this movie, I think, is the performances he's able to get out of these non-actors. They're so weird, but also devastating. Like, I really enjoy this movie. On the other side of this, we have Daniel's Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I think is probably my favorite movie theater experience ever. This movie literally has everything in it. All of the emotions, all of the action and drama and sadness and happiness and joy and weirdness. I loved Swiss Army Man, but this is like the perfect Daniels movie. I cannot get enough of this thing. This is a truly tough matchup, but I have to give it to Everything Everywhere All at Once. Sorry. The next matchup we have is 8th Grade versus 20th Century Women. I don't really remember 20th Century Women that much, but 8th Grade was such a great directorial debut for Bo Burnham, and we get such great performances from these kids. It's really emotional, and it definitely has a special place in my heart, so I have to give it to that. And finally, we have a really tough matchup for me with I Saw the TV Glow and Past Lives. Past Lives I saw twice in the theater, both times with my buddy Isaac, and when the lights came on at the end, we were both crying both times. It has so much to say about the complications of life and love and cultures and your past and your relationship with it, and there's just a lot going on, but it's done in such a realistic way that I think makes it that much more heartbreaking. I truly love this movie. But on the other hand, I Saw the TV Glow was like a revelation for me. This movie was way up there on my best of list from last year, and I cannot get it out of my mind. It has so much to say, and it explores it in such a visual and haunting way. The performances, I think, are so good. The writing is fantastic, and like visually, there's so much going on. It feels kind of like a David Lynch version of this story. I want more of it, and I honestly don't know which one to choose. Like, this might legitimately be the hardest decision for me so far. I think I have to go with I Saw the TV Glow. Yeah, I think I have to. All right, we're picking up speed here, heading into the Sweet 16, but we're back to deep horror. We have a Robert Eggers shootout, The Witch versus The Lighthouse. Honestly, I think The Lighthouse sticks with me more. It's that much more stylish. It's that much more weird. It has that much more symbolism and weird stuff going on. It sticks with me more. I'm going with The Lighthouse. Moving on to the Astor shootout, we have Midsommar versus Hereditary, and honestly, I think I gotta go with Midsommar. It's kind of a joyous film. Like, the ending makes me smile, and I'm so happy for Dani and her journey, and she's found her family. I love that movie, so I'm gonna go with Midsommar here. In emotional drama, we have First Reformed versus The Iron Claw. Both f***ing great movies, but I do have to go with First Reformed. It's too good, dude. Next, Moonlight versus The Lobster. I think I loved Moonlight, but I think The Lobster made a bigger impression on me. I'm such a Yorgos fan. Yeah, I think I gotta go with The Lobster on this one. Over to High Anxiety, we have Climax versus Uncut Gems. Both very different kind of movies. You know, Climax is like a dance horror, and Uncut Gems is a low-flying panic attack for me, so I don't know. I think I gotta go with Uncut Gems on this one.
Uncut Gems.
Right.
On to Ex Machina versus Good Time. Also, two very different kinds of movies, but I gotta give it to Ex Machina on this one. I love Good Time so much, but Ex Machina is just, it's Alice Garland perfection. On to our last division, Big Feelings. We have Lady Bird versus Everything Everywhere, and I gotta go with Everything Everywhere. I love that movie, and Lady Bird why do I keep saying Lady Bird? I think Lady Bird is such a great movie, but Everything Everywhere is just peak. And underneath that, we have 8th Grade versus I Saw the TV Glow. That one's easy for me. It's definitely I Saw the TV Glow. I love that movie, and I can't wait to watch it again. Moving on to the next round, where I think things are getting kind of unfair now. I think this is torture, and I hate it. We have 8 left. The Angry 8, the Agile, actually, I don't know what they call. Elite 8. That makes more sense than the Agile 8. Starting off in deep horror, we have The Lighthouse versus Midsommar, and this is really hard because these are two of probably my favorite like horror movies, I would say, and I think the one I think about more often is probably The Lighthouse. I'm sorry, I think it is The Lighthouse. I'm gonna have to go with The Lighthouse on this one. Over to emotional drama, we have First Reformed versus The Lobster. I hate this. I love The Lobster. It also might be one of my favorite movies of all time, but First Reformed really, really messed me up, and I love it so much. I don't know, man. I think I'm gonna have to go with The Lobster. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to go with The Lobster. Sorry. No, I'm not. Heading over to High Anxiety, we have Uncut Gems versus Ex Machina, and two very different kinds of movies that I don't think I would match up.
Uncut Gems.
Right.
I just think because of genre, I'm gonna have to go with Ex Machina on this. I love that movie, man. And finally, in Big Feelings, we have Everything Everywhere All at Once versus I Saw the TV Glow, and this is kind of a no-brainer for me. Everything Everywhere All at Once is just such a f***ing great movie. It's one of my favorites of all time. It definitely wins. We are down to the final 4, and that's definitely what it's called because I looked it up this time, but this is a tough round. We're dealing with, again, some of my favorite movies of all time. First on our matchup is The Lighthouse versus Ex Machina. I don't know, man. I gotta go with The Lighthouse. I have to. Fight me in the comments, but it's gotta be The Lighthouse over Ex Machina. Next, we have The Lobster versus Everything Everywhere, and this is less of a hard decision for me. It's gotta be Everything Everywhere. The Lobster's so good, and I will miss it on this list, and actually I really want to rewatch it now that I've talked about it so much, but yeah, it's Everything Everywhere. We've done it, folks. We are here. The championship matchup, The Lighthouse versus Everything Everywhere, all at once. And I mean, I gotta be honest with you, this isn't that hard of a choice. Like, I love The Lighthouse so much. I've talked about it a lot. It's Everything Everywhere all at once. It's the winner for me. Cue the confetti. I've said it before, but this movie is unmatched. I've never seen anything like it and is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite movie of all time. I just love it so much. I cannot get enough of it. There's so much going on in it. There's so many things thematically and visually and the acting, and it will always have a special place in my heart. And like I said, it's my favorite theater experience of all time. I went with my buddy Dave, and we saw it in a not super full theater, but everybody that was in that theater, we all talked together as the movie ended through the rest of the credits, and then we all moved out of the theater together talking as a group of strangers who have no idea who each other are. I've just never felt such a sense of community within a theater over a single movie before, and that experience on top of the film itself, I've seen it so many times since, and it holds up every single time. I feel like I find something in it new each time as well, because it's so dense, and I don't know, man. Everything Everywhere All at Once, a movie by Daniels. If you haven't seen it, I don't know why you've watched this whole thing about A24 movies and you've never seen Everything Everywhere All at Once, but it is my favorite, so there you go. So what'd you think of my bracket? Did you disagree with stuff? Let me know in the comments. What did you agree with? Let me know that in the comments, because I also want some nice stuff. You know, I want to talk about movies with my friends, so let me know all that stuff in the comments. Also, if you filled out a bracket, let me know who was your winner. There's so many great matchups here. I think this is a really, really, really fun idea from A24, and I hope they do it each year, because this was hard. I had a really good time doing it, but it's definitely hard, and also made me think about a lot of movies I haven't seen in a long time, and it's definitely made me want to revisit some of these movies. Not First Reformed, though. I've had enough of that, and I don't want to feel like shit for like a week. So if you're still here, thanks for sticking around. If you like the video, give it a like. If you really like the video, hit that subscribe button. It's free. We all have a good time. You're always welcome here. Plus, let's not kid ourselves. We both suck at sports. It's okay.